Hello and welcome to the Microlise podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Summers. I'm the head of global marketing for Microlise. I'm joined today by Aaron from the RHA. So again, hello Aaron. And would you be able to just give us a quick intro to yourself, your role at the RHA and your general experience in the industry?
Yeah, so I'm Aaron Peters. I'm the head of technical engineering and policy at the RHA. I've been with the RHA for 9 months. My background, I came from an apprentice background. I went through the PSV industry. I spent 20 years in PSVs and then moved over to haulage for the past 5 years, joining the RHA 9 months ago.
And what do you find is one of the biggest differences between the PSV space and I guess logistics?
I think one of the things that you see is the vehicles tend to be very similar. The technologies are there, the way the vehicle works is the same, and what goes on in the background in the maintenance provisions. But what you find is the drivers are different, they're on different regimes, and how it works is totally different in how it's scheduled, and you'll get drivers who drive different buses 3 or 4 times a day, whereas one HGV driver will tend to be in the same cab.
Okay, and obviously you've taken part in the roundtable webinar earlier today. What were some of your key takeaways?
I think it was interesting to see how all of the different organisations that were involved had a similar outlook on what was required within the industry. So looking at bridge strikes as one of the key examples was everyone sees that, the driver is ultimately responsible. They're the person who's moving that vehicle towards a low bridge. But there is other aspects that you need to consider as well, and that's the operator, the council and the signage company, whoever's involved with that bridge. And
what kind of, like you say, bridge strikes are a real topic at the moment. And what kind of key practical steps or takeaways do you think operators can bring into their business to avoid them, in short?
For me, I think a lot of it comes down to the risk assessment approach and understanding what risk you've got within your business. If bridge strikes are going to be one, there's different aspects to each business. Some may run flatbeds with very low loads where they've got very little risk. But if you've got a double-deck trailer, obviously your risk is a lot higher, and you need to manage that risk adequately to prevent the bridge strikes from happening.
And how do you think technology kind of plays a role within that business and within the transport operations?
I think technology's got so much of a role, and going forward you can see how much technology is playing its part. But I think operators need to use that technology in the right manner. So when it comes to the likes of sat-navs, it's using the right type of sat-nav, not just your Google Maps or your car one that the driver's brought in because he knows there's a diversion on the route, but actually get down to that risk profile and see what is actually wrong within the operation.
And from a smaller operator point of view, with sometimes they obviously have fewer resources to improve their compliance. What can those smaller operators do to improve their compliance culture? In short, from your point of view?
Again, it comes down to that understanding what your risk is, looking at what technologies are out there that could be actually a real help to your admin staff, your operations staff, to see it's not just about the driver, but about the whole organisation, and where you can either make efficiency savings to give someone more time to be able to process what is actually going on rather than just fighting fires.
And from your point of view, what one thing do you think an operator could do tomorrow to improve their safety or compliance and their compliance, be it from workshop maintenance standards or being out on the road and operating?
I'd argue that there's not one thing that an operator could do. There's probably a multitude of parts that come into it. So you look at your training regimes, you can look at what technologies you're using, but also actually look at the skill base that you've got available to you. And then how can you bring that forward to reduce your risk of compliance issues?
And, from the RHA and your own point of view, what frustrates you from coming into this industry from our kind of approach to risk?
I think the problem that people have is they don't understand what risk they have, and sometimes risks can be so hard to actually pinpoint. So people will look at it, and drivers can become complacent. Drivers can become quite settled in their position. So I've seen it in the bus industry. You see it in HGV. People will drive the same cab day after day, And if that cab is actually attached to a double deck bus or a double deck trailer rather than a single deck, it's easy for that little bit of basically a lack of awareness to creep in. And that's where then the risk can be exemplified. So it's understanding how you can mitigate that risk, and some of the technologies that are available are the ideal solution.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Aaron, and thank you to the audience. Just another message to keep your eye out for any more upcoming podcasts around the risk and safety campaign. Thank you.